brain, you're in the nerds domain. Come on in, it's about to begin.
Hi, everybody. It's Matt here at Nerds Domain Podcast. Today I am joined by Brett Peterson and Rich Nelson to talk about Mimic Miniatures. It's a Kickstarter they've got going, and it's something I was really interested in when I saw it today. So say hi, Rich and Brett.
Hi.
Hey, Nerds Domain people.
So you guys threw up your Kickstarter, what was it, 3 days ago?
Yeah. Had some good success. Funded this afternoon. We were pretty pumped about that.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some questions to talk about exactly what's going on. So, in the impending zombie apocalypse, what is the weapon of choice?
Brett, you want to take that one first?
Oh yeah, I've been thinking about this one actually.
Because this is actually on Brett's mind all the time.
It is.
Oh, good.
Well, I live in a basement apartment, so I don't have like the pull up the stairs behind me option, right? So I'm not I'm not as secure here as I'd like to be. So you can't use a shotgun because the sound attracts more of them, right? And you can't use an axe or a hatchet because unlike what's shown on TV, it sticks in flesh, right? So yeah. So my favorite actually is the large cement mallets, like the 8-pound mallet, because it's enough to pick off a head without getting stuck, right? It's blunt force trauma to bash in the brain, but then it doesn't get stuck, so you can follow through to the next zombie. That's my preferred weapon.
Okay. And Rich?
Well, I'm going to have to respectfully disagree with my partner in crime, Matt. The preferred weapon of choice, and I've actually stockpiled up on this for several years, is 80s Aquanet with lighters.
Okay.
What Brett fails to realize is that flame is the universal fear-causing element of choice. So yeah, I think zombies would be very afraid and feel the actual pain of Aquanet with fire. So and it sticks really well. So it's kind of like a napalm in a can. So
yeah, and if you need to do your hair, you're set.
If Rich needs to do his hair, the rest of us probably shouldn't. But
why look bad during the zombie apocalypse? That's my motto.
Absolutely. All right. Well, here.
Purple and teal leotard. You say that. That's
here's our second question. Given all the sci-fi worlds you know, what planet do you most want to visit?
Rich, you get to field that one. That's too big a question for you to take on the fly.
I was hoping you'd go first. I'm still chewing on that one.
Yeah.
You know what? Actually, okay. So Matt, I'll be completely honest. I have these internal debates with myself on what I like better, Star Wars or Star Trek. And to be completely honest, in your line, the line of questioning that you just asked, I would actually say I would like to be in the Star Trek universe with all those different worlds. I don't know if there's an actual favorite, but I kind of like that idea of the exploration and I don't think I actually have a sci-fi world that I like the most. I don't know, maybe Brett, after you're done, I can think of something, but nothing really comes to. Maybe the Borg-infested Earth alternate universe is most appealing. I don't know.
Okay. So
to visit, probably Asgard. I like that one.
Okay.
From the Marvel reboot, I liked how they presented Asgard as a world. I thought that was pretty interesting as a place like a vacation, right?
Yeah.
But you want to slide down the rainbows, don't you, Brett?
Well, you're the one wearing the Aquanet stuff, dude. But if I'm going to go, kill things, Castlevania's universe, the Castlevania world, right? Dracula's castle, Symphony of the Night.
Well, that's not sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
We accept it.
Okay, thanks. It's still nerdy. Yeah.
All right.
All right, so let's start off with your sales pitch. What are you guys doing with Mimic Miniatures, and why do you have such a passion for this project?
All right, well, I guess our selling point here is we create personalized gaming miniatures that you can use in any of your role-playing games, any of your board games, or any tabletop miniature game. So, Matt, imagine you having your own character in Warhammer Fantasy, like your own fantasy general, or you being your own Space Marine, with your face on a Space Marines model, or as a Warcaster if you're playing War Machine. Or, there's really no end to the imagination of what you can create. So think of the game Zombicide. You've got all these zombies, or you've got human survivors. We can actually have your heads be on the zombies or the human survivors, and it really brings the game to be really personal. And if you're playing, if you're playing role-playing games, or whether it's Cthulhu or D&D, or a steampunk game, we've got these different models that you can use. And how cool that would be. You're going to your gaming session, you go, hey guys, here's me, and you show everybody your miniature of you. So we think it's a really cool idea, and really just takes, I guess, miniatures to the next level of personalization.
So I could build a Warhammer Fantasy army with just rows and rows of Matt. it could be the Empire of Matt.
Theoretically, yes.
Okay.
For me, I'm pretty passionate about this project, especially because it puts together like two of my big interests. First, like the whole fantasy thing, right? Like, of which miniatures is a big chunk. I guess three of my interests. Like, miniatures are awesome anyway, like toys for guys, right? But then also, it gets into the whole fantasy role playing and like storytelling. For me, like doing in role playing games, right? Having my own face on my D&D character, for example, I think is really cool. But it also welds that with 3D printing, and so which is kind of where my career is focused. That's kind of on the tech side of things, we're kind of putting together the two coolest things on Kickstarter, I think. Awesome miniatures and really cool 3D printing. And so Kickstarter was a natural approach. But for me, that's like, I'm pumped about every part of this project because it's all stuff I think is cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just to add one more thing, I had one of our backers email me today saying, Rich, what I want to do is get this for my family. And next time we play a game, I'm going to see how long it takes for them to realize that that's them.
Oh.
And I was like,
yeah, that's awesome.
And I was like, well, that's really cool. And I think any kind of gamer would love this as a gift. And so we also think it's also a great, not only like a gaming piece, but also as a gift, and also something you can just display proudly in a nice diorama or just like on your shelf. And it's just something beautiful to look at, and something that's really, it has not been done before. And so, I think Brett and I are just really proud that, we're the trailblazers. We're the first to hit this market and to really introduce this to gamers. And so I think that's pretty cool as well.
We had a backer contact us a couple days ago. I haven't told Rich about this yet, but she wanted to get 14 heads for a family reunion. She was going to have it as a
oh, wow,
party gift for the family reunion, so everybody's head would be on a different miniature, right? And hand those out. And awesome. I mean, good on her. But what a cool memento of the family reunion, right? I mean, how cool is that?
So my girlfriend and I could get married with our faces on miniatures on the cake.
Absolutely.
Yes,
in fact,
awesome.
That was our first test. It was on Eric James Stone's wedding cake. That was our first trial run of these miniatures, was making cake toppers for him. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So I'm looking at your guys' Kickstarter. It looks like $25 will get you a full miniature.
Mm-hmm.
It looks like it's kind of set on, one of 8? Is that right? One of 8 different kinds of miniatures right now.
Yeah, for the moment. We're hoping we've got a lot in reserve, so as soon as we hit those stretch rewards, we'll be opening up a lot of new options.
Okay, and it also looks like I can just get ahead.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Absolutely.
So I can slap this on top of anything I want and just go from there.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, with sculpting, we try and give a good selection of miniatures. We're proud of our sculpts. We think we have some good options, but some people play Weird West or zombies in spaceships, right? Or dragons in spaceships or whatever, right? We can't. There's such a wide variety of miniatures out there. That's why we have the head option. Is so if you have a really niche miniature set that you really want your face on, you're not limited, right? You can just pop off the head and put it on your own, and you're good to go.
And
so,
go ahead. I'm sorry. And really quick, just to add to that, just for the listeners, is our minis are 25 millimeter heroic scale, so similar to what you'd find in Warhammer or War Machine. But we also give our backers the option to scale it down at no cost. So if you're playing a game that is on a different millimeter size, it'll be completely compatible with that as well.
Like Infinity, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We've tested all the way down to like Infinity size, and no problem. We can do those just fine.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. What kind of gaming experience do you guys have? I know, Brett, you said some stuff about miniatures. Well, what exactly?
Yeah.
Well, Brett, really quick, sorry, Brett, you're a big fan of Monopoly and Yahtzee, right?
Gouging my eyes out for Monopoly, thank you. No, I started out started out probably a decade or two ago doing like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons, and then kind of expanded out to doing Warhammer Fantasy. Had a bunch of friends in like middle school and high school that did Warhammer Fantasy, so that was kind of my initial start. But I grew up, my dad read The Hobbit to us as a bedtime story, right? So like from the cradle, I've been in the whole fantasy science fiction world, right? I read Asimov when I was 6, probably, the short story Nightfall. I mean, so the whole mix, in terms of games, mostly like Magic and D&D and Warhammer. As I've gotten older, I kind of switched over to Pathfinder more than D&D. Although D&D Next is giving me, I'm interested in D&D Next. I want where that goes. But yeah, that's my background.
Okay, and Rich?
My first foray into miniatures would probably be I don't know if anyone remembers the old TSR miniature line of the Dungeons and Dragons miniatures. It was the toy line. And there were toys, but they were, at least back then for me, it was like minis. And I thought they were amazing. And that just really started sparking my geekdom. And I think the first time I actually got into a miniatures game was there was a game called Fantasy Warriors. It's an old out-of-print game. I don't know if anyone remembers that, but then that led me into 40K and then eventually Fantasy. And I stuck with Fantasy for all these years, and I still play it. Brett and I still play it, and that's my first love in terms of miniatures. But I play War Machine, Axis and Allies miniatures when D&D minis came out.
And let's give Rich a little more. He's being a little bit modest, I think. He also runs a Call of Cthulhu game, or tried to get me into one anyway. I don't know if you're still running it or not. But then he also designs fantasy games for a living, right? So Rich has Giant Goblin Games, and he did the Castle, which is where you're the bad guys taking over a hero's castle, and like, yeah. Sorry, Rich. I don't know, make you blush. You want to add to that?
yeah, and sorry, and Brett, I think you cut out a little bit on there, but yeah, I'm also a game designer. I actually got into that a few years ago, and I released a game called Storm the Castle on Kickstarter, out in stores now, and so it was really successful, and I was really proud of that achievement. So
this isn't your first kickstarting rodeo, is it?
No, it's not.
Well, that's good. That's good. So you guys funded. You released this on the 31st, so 3 days ago, and you've already funded. What's that feel like? How's the stress level on this?
It feels awesome. That's what it feels like. No, today was a good day. I will say that.
And for Brett, he's being modest as well. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into putting together a Kickstarter campaign, especially when you're working with 3D models and miniatures. We work to get the technology, the equipment, the logistics and the processes down so we can make this happen. And it's something that took a while to get down and to get it done right. And so, and to have it fun to go, okay, at the 5,000 pledge level, we've got, we're able to actually make this a reality and give these minis to people. And this goes off on a quick tangent, but it doesn't end here. Brett and I, what we want to do is we actually want to get into every single game store in America, and international if they'll take us as well, where people can go in there and they can order Mimic miniatures through retailers. We're still working on that process where they can go into a store and say, I want to select this, and we'll work with game retailers as well and have this something that continues on.
So you're going to be working hard to make sure that the brick and mortar stores don't suffer from your success.
Absolutely,
definitely.
There's a huge role in brick and mortar game stores, especially to introduce you to new games and to help you connect with the community of other gamers, right?
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that's been huge. Nerds are, in generally speaking, it's kind of a isolated type of life, right? And so game stores we love them for letting us meet other people who have the same interests. So we're pro your friendly local game store all the way.
Well, Brett, wasn't you that gave the analogy that game stores are to geeks and nerds, and I say that affectionately, like what inns and taverns and bars are of sorts. It's a place where people can get together and
it's a bar for geeks. Yeah, absolutely. I can't claim that. That was actually from my friendly local game store's owner. That's how he views it. But I think that's exactly right. Is that you go to meet people, you go to hang out, you go to have friends, to have fun. And so if you can go to a sports bar and that's cool too. But sometimes you want to go kill each other in Warhammer, and especially if Rich has his head on his general, I especially want to kill.
Yeah, you can put a head on a magnetic base, and so when you roll your critical hit, you can do the decapitation. That's actually a cool idea.
I like it.
So it looks like you guys have a couple of stretch goals set up already. One of them is for what I'm guessing is a pirate, but it's super cloaked under a silhouette, and it says R.
Did the IMAT not give it away?
Yeah. So I'm assuming that's a pirate, but it looks like after that you're kind of, you don't have anything up on the Kickstarter. It's kind of a mystery yet. So what could you give us any kind of hints on what's coming out maybe?
Absolutely. That's this is kind of my half of the project. We've got a couple of zombicide survivors, or survivors that would fit in a zombie apocalypse game, if I can.
Okay.
Including an Australian girl-looking survivor, and then a kind of a guy who's been in hard times but survived the zombie apocalypse. So that pair is coming out. We've got an Arabian dancer girl who might be releasing sometime soon. That one's just being finished up. We've got, what are some of the other ones we've got? We've got a winged steampunk figure with steampunk wings, and a steampunk angel to go with him. Just a couple that are coming down the pike here pretty soon.
And can I add this as well? I've got 5 daughters, and they love being princesses. And one thing that we want to also is cater to the gamers that have families or kids or nephews or cousins. And so I don't think we're giving away too much here, but we've got a princess, a fairy, and squire for the youngins, so that way they can also partake in this cool project as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and is the plan for you guys to set up a website and a full-on, program for this? I mean, we talked about brick and mortars, but this isn't just this one-time thing. This is going to be an ongoing deal, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the better success we can do now, the more we can offer kind of going into that. The better initial offering we can make when we kind of open to the public officially, down the road.
Okay.
I mean, we're open to the public now in Kickstarter, but Kickstarter's for kind of, pre-backers, early birds,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, do you guys have any plans to go anywhere specific to kind of so that we could see this process? Any conventions you guys are going to be hitting anytime soon?
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? So, a great question. Brett and I, we were actually just at Steamfest, it's located in northern Utah, where it's a huge celebration where people love steampunk, anything kind of like that related in that genre. And it was our first foray into conventions, and I'll tell you this, we had a line that just did not end. We were
hopping from start to finish the whole time.
Yeah. And Matt, we actually have a different process when we do it in person, where we can actually scan. We just have a technique where we can actually scan you in your full costume. So let's say, for example, you went there and you were dressed up as a barbarian, and you have this huge claymore or whatever. We can actually take your costume, whether you're cosplaying or whatever, whatever you come with, and we can actually digitize you and actually create a miniature of whatever you come in as. Now, it's different from what we've got in Kickstarter, just because we have to do this remotely. And Brett, do you want to talk a little bit about Salt Lake Comic-Con?
Yeah, absolutely. So like when we saw the response, Steamfest, we wanted to go, but we were just kind of testing the waters, right? But the response was so positive. We actually had people asking us, like, please go to Salt Lake Comic-Con. So we got a hold of them and got a booth. And so we're going to Comic-Con here this next weekend and doing, we kind of optimized our process. So we're going to be just turning out scans the whole weekend to get people, essentially, gaming miniatures or even action figure-sized figures of themselves.
Oh, excellent.
In cosplay,
okay.
Right? There's some really cool cosplay costumes that they're already signed up with us to get scans.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
So, beyond that, have you guys made any plans, or is it just you'll see as it goes?
The success that we had at Steamfest really, it was just it was really a proof of concept. How would we do in a market that was costume rich, which was Steamfest? And so we want to hit conventions that really cater to those who cosplay and whatnot. There's going to be some conventions that are gaming centric, where the gamer's going to show up with his backpack, and they're probably not going to want a miniature of themselves in that situation.
Sure.
So depending, it's just kind of like we're going to see how we go with the Salt Lake convention that's starting on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And hopefully we knock it out of the park there, and that just kind of dominoes, where it just fuels us to go to the next convention and so forth. And we really hope to have a major presence and a steady presence at conventions that really cater to this demographic that would want a miniature of themselves or something customized like that.
And also, honestly, we've bounced around ideas. If things go well down the road, expanding into a full miniature line or a miniature game or like a tabletop miniature game, but we're still too early to make definite plans in that regard, right? We got to kind of see how the next year goes, and then.
Oh yeah, definitely got to feel it all out and see what works and what doesn't. No, this all sounds great. I'm looking. I haven't hit back yet, because I'm not sure how many minis I need.
Okay.
So
we can take that reason. That's good.
Yeah, that's my problem right now.
You need at least 10.
Well, I keep looking at that custom. So for our listeners, there's a top level. Is it $300? Is that right? $500.
$500. Yep.
$500. You could have a complete personalized miniature. And Brett, you said you were on our website. If you look at our Call of Cthulhu show notes, you'll notice that I'm the guy with the tentacle beard and the top hat, and that is exactly what I would need.
I'm trying to find that page.
I think I got it. Oh yeah, that's within the realm of possibility. That factor level, you pledge at the $500 level, we'll make that happen.
And Matt, you're missing out. The best part of that pledge level is we wine and dine you, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever had an Arby's melted sandwich before? With a delicious shake and curly fries? Think about it. I know it's tempting.
Wow, you're pouring on a lot of temptation there. So it sounds like you guys have really unique ideas here. I've seen miniatures before that have been done 3D printing. I bought some miniatures through a website that was 3D printed, and they came out looking great. But I've never seen anything where I have the ability to be that guy. So I think that you guys have hit on something unique, and I don't think I have to wish you anything. I think you're going to do great. Everything looks good. From everything I'm seeing, the production quality looks amazing. If you look at the Kickstarter, they've already done both of themselves, and then Brandon Sanderson, who is a big author, and then some other authors that I'm not as familiar with. I know who Tracy Hickman is, and then also Laura Hickman. Carter Reed, I'm not familiar with, but there's a lot of good looking a lot of good-looking miniatures on here that you guys have put a lot of time and effort into. It looks like, and they came out looking great. So I'm really looking forward to it. One last thing I want to make sure we hit. You guys are I wouldn't say partnering. I don't want to go that far, but you guys are working with Blue Table. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly.
And they are a painting house, I guess, was what you would call them.
Yeah, in fact, they're one of, if not the best in the country. They've got their painters. We were talking with some of them, and they've won awards, and they do all kinds of great work, either painting your whole Warhammer army or whatever. But for our guys, they did an amazing job getting all the little details on our miniatures. Our miniatures, I mean, heads are pretty small on a mini, and so getting all the detail right. I mean, we've got it there in the printing, but they made it pop with the painting. It looks fantastic. I mean, you can see the pictures.
Yeah.
But Rich, keep going.
Oh, I was just going to add is, like Brett said, Blue Table is probably the premier paint studio in America. They've got a huge army of masterclass painters, and we were able to partner with them, and they've been awesome in that they are actually going to offer a 10% discount to anyone who backs our campaign and gets their Mimic miniature painted through them. And
they're also waiving the minimum order. Usually you have to have,
yep.
I mean, they paint armies, so usually you have to send at least 3 miniatures to them. But for our guys, they're waiving that, and so you can just, if you just want to buy your miniature, they'll paint just one for you, which is fantastic. I mean, they've been amazing to work with.
And backers, they can choose what kind of level of detail they want. I mean, they can have a stunning showcase figure, or if they want something that's tabletop quality. So Blue Table has that flexibility. So it's another flexibility option that are offered to our backers.
Yeah.
Okay. So it looks like you guys have a lot of good stuff here. There's options for just heads, and there's options for multiples of heads. That's kind of important too.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have the option for the miniature, and it looks like the more miniatures I get, the cheaper it gets.
Definitely.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, man, I'm really excited to see this, guys. This is going to be great. So, anything else you guys want to say before we get off here? About the company, or about any plans, or about anything else you're excited about?
I would just, I thank you very much for Matt letting us, chat with you. We really appreciate your time.
It is definitely our pleasure. It is definitely our pleasure. I love seeing. We did a Kickstarter. Our listeners know this, but we did a Kickstarter back in May that failed.
Oh.
But you know what? It was a great learning process, and I enjoyed myself and all of the stress going into it, and I learned a ton about Kickstarter and how it works, and about what you can and can't do, and how to set up your page to make it look better. And so anytime I can get somebody else to get a little bit of a word out there, I like to try and do that. So if our listeners are headed out to Salt Lake Comic Con, definitely should join them. That's September 5th through 7th. If you happen to be listening a little late, that's just a couple days away.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I'm sure you guys can keep checking. Do you guys have a website that we can point people towards yet?
Right now, we don't, but it is going to be going up. We're hoping to go live in the next couple weeks, but we do have a Facebook page. So anyone who wants to join us, please visit facebook.com/Mimic Miniatures. Facebook.com/Mimic Miniatures. Like us. We're also going to be running some contests pretty soon where you can get a free Mimic miniature of yourself. And so, we've got some great things. We want to do some contests and giveaways and just get the word out.
Okay. So can we follow you guys on Twitter?
We don't have a Twitter handle yet. And our primary communication is likely going to be via the Facebook posts, email blasts, and when we get our website up, we'll probably occasionally do some Twitter, messages and whatnot. But for now, this is what we got. We're seeing how well we do, and we'll scale upwards from there.
Well, for our listeners, you guys can go to tinyurl.com/mimicminis, and that'll take you right to the Kickstarter page. I highly suggest that you pledge anything you can. $25 for a miniature is not that bad when it's your face on there, and looks like some really good designs behind it.
And includes shipping.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. That also, and that could be a kind of a pain all by itself, I'm sure. So, definitely head on over to the Kickstarter. And I think that will do us for tonight on the Nerds Domain podcast. I'm at Quiet on Twitter, and you can follow the website at Nerds Domain. As always, check out the website and click on the Amazon link. Anything you order through there is same price to you, but a little bit comes back to us. You can head over to iTunes and check out the podcast there and rate it. That would be awesome. And, of course, you can always go to slashloot.com and look at our shirts and order some, and that's at tinyurl.com/ndshirts. And we will talk to you guys real soon.